Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Nothing Like a Good Book. And this is a beauty. My special guest author is Laurie Elizabeth Murphy. Laurie is a full-time author of both non-fiction and fiction books. She previously worked as a registered nurse and psychology counselor with degrees from the Mount Sinai Hospital School of Nursing and St. Joseph's Hospital, St. Joseph College, I should say. Growing up, she was a ballet student at the famous Met in New York City. And here's another famous one, the Juilliard School of Music and Dance. Tell you what, there's no fleas on this lady. She currently resides in Florida, and she has 4 children and 6 grandchildren. And she's published many nonfiction books, co-authoring with her late husband to write In the Best Interest of the Child. That's a manual for divorcing parents. 8 Strategies for Successful Step-Parenting. And you don't know anything. That's a manual for parenting teenagers. And she's also written and self-published Satori, Wherever the Wind Blows Me, and Cellophane Memories. And additionally, she writes a bi-monthly column for My Living local magazine. Very busy lady. Welcome, Laurie.
Thank you, Mark. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. You are a very busy lady, aren't you?
I try to keep busy, yes.
That's the best way. But we're going to talk about your hit novel. Now your big hit novel is Dream Me Home. And it's won a variety of awards, including the Pencraft Book Award for the Best Fiction in the Mystery Sleuth category, the Literary Titans Silver Book Award for the Best Fiction Book in the Romantic Suspense Thriller genre, and 8 wins from the Outstanding Creator Awards. Well done. Aren't you clever? Hey?
Yeah, it's hard to live up to, but I try in my second book and the sequel, which is now called Dream Me Dead.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens to the protagonist and the other characters in book 1. So book 2, Dream Me Dead, I wasn't intending to write it, but I don't know. I had a lot of people at book clubs saying, we want to know what happened to the characters. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? They're fiction and now they're not here anymore. And they're like, no, we want more. So I thought, well, there's never really an ending to anything. So I decided, yes, okay, let me answer a few questions that maybe were not prevalent in book 1, but, they still have a backstory. Mm-hmm. And let's just see what happens to Rob Prescott, the famous plastic surgeon who's on trial for murder.
Yeah, right. I got a hunch you wrote the first one knowing darn well there'd be a good sequel, huh?
Well, yeah, there's a good sequel, and now I have a good. I'm going to make it a trilogy. I'm writing the 3rd book, and so we'll see, and then that's going to be the end of this series.
All
but
right.
Dream Me Dead is a lot more riveting even than Dream Me Home, so I'm pretty proud of it.
Yeah, well, it should be. And I'll talk about some critics. In fact, John Kelly, the Detroit Free Press excellent critic, he says this book, Dream Me Dead, is definitely a page-turner. You won't want to put it down, and it's highly recommended. So there you go. Now, were there things you left out of the first book to reveal them in the second?
Okay, so 2 things that really didn't have huge meaning to the entire storyline, but there was, Rob Prescott is, let's start here. Peggy Prescott, for those that didn't know the first book, is narrating this book and all the other books from the grave. She's dead. She opens up the book dead. And so she has a 360-degree view of life, which, alive we don't have. We can only surmise things. Mm-hmm. She knows all the ins and outs of all the characters and how they interact with each other and the lies that they tell and the secrets they keep. So she opens the book and talks about her husband, Rob Prescott, the plastic surgeon. What was not finished in the first book was Rob had a psychopathic roommate in college and medical school, Arnie Stimmel, and he died under mysterious causes. It didn't really matter to the plot of the book, but people wanted to know because they loved to hate Arnie. Whatever happened and who killed him? And also there was a mysterious home invasion, or was there? We'll have to find out. In the book, and nobody knew who staged that. Was it Rob? Was it Arnie? Was it some thugs on the street? So those questions and a lot more are going to be answered in Dream Me Dead, especially with the character Erica, who didn't have a very big part in book 1, but she steals the show in book 2.
So, I mean, from a writer's perspective, how did you handle having such a wide cast of characters, and switching between their perspectives?
First of all, when I read a book, I get very confused if there's too many characters or the characters don't have any relevance to me personally. So I try very hard to give every character, even if they're a secondary character, a backstory. So we're all either really pulling for these characters or we're really hating them and hoping for their demise. So we know them. So when they come up page after page, we know exactly who they are and exactly what their motives are. So, okay, that's that. Also, when I'm writing a character, I become the character. I know that's crazy, right. But I will say or do what I think they will, and then I'll go to sleep that night, and then I'll wake up in the middle of the night and go, no, she would never say that, or no, that was ridiculous. I have to get rid of that page. That's not how she would act at all. And so thereby the character develops almost as if they're telling me, you made a mistake. I need more. I need to do what I would really do, not what you want me to do. And that's the characters.
Yeah, you sort of you throw yourself right in, don't you? You fill their shoes.
I can speak for men and women. I can
multi-skilled.
I'm like Sybil with multiple personalities.
Wow. I'm speaking with Laurie Elizabeth Murphy with her brand new release, Dream Me Dead. But of course, it's it's a thrilling sequel to the award-winning book, Dream Me Home. So for those of you that remember that, most people think that death is final. But most people are wrong, right? Uh-huh. So following the events of the big hit book, Dream Me Home, Laurie decided to continue the trilogy, the thrilling story in Dream Me Dead. People think it's a mysterious reckoning of celestial proportions. It does involve a fascinating court case, a tangled web of relationships, all culminating in a twist ending that will leave readers wanting more. By gee, how do you do that as a reader? That's the key. Even John Kelly says there's nothing as compelling as a courtroom drama, and Laurie Elizabeth Murphy's new novel has courtroom drama in spades. The book is definitely a page-turner, and you won't want to put it down as you see the mystery unfold. Whoa, look out, Agatha Christie, fair income. So, pretty good rap, don't you think?
Yes, I think so. And what I tried to do, because I know that many people didn't read Dream Me Home, the first book, I wanted them to not feel, I'd love them to go back and read it, but if not, I didn't want them to be lost in the second book. So I brought in most of the plot and most of the characters during testimony in the opening courtroom drama where Rob, the husband, is on trial for murder. And so we get to know them quickly as who they are, and then we can pick up immediately with the continuing storyline.
And for those of you listening to this and say, you know what, I didn't get to read. Well, look, here's what it's about. In your first book, introduced Peggy Prescott, and she was a woman who was found dead in her bed of hypothermia, seemingly. In the months leading up to her death, Peggy was meeting with a therapist. Whom she revealed to that she had been having dreams of a mysterious man in a parallel universe.
Yes.
Right.
He wanted to call them dreams. She insisted that she found a way to get to him through a portal by taking sleeping pills. Inadvertently, he prescribed sleeping pills. She took one or two and all of a sudden ends up meeting somebody that she once knew in other lifetimes. And so she's twisted and torn between her husband, who she loved, and this man who she had history with. And suddenly the psychiatrist has the power, as all therapists do, to twist and turn minds if they want to. We don't think of them as nefarious people, of course, and I certainly wasn't in my practice, but we do have a lot of power, and you have to be careful who you tell your secrets to.
Yes.
And in this case, Dr. Sherman, who really did not have a positive relationship with any women in his life prior, decides that he is going to twist and turn Peggy's life around by making her suspect her husband of her murder. And that's what happens. And so the whole town, who once revered Rob Prescott as a celebrity surgeon, now turns against him, and book 2 opens with his trial.
Well, don't tell us if he's guilty or not, will you?
Well, we don't know, do we?
No, we don't. So her dreams, her husband, I mean, odd circumstances, and it does, it sets a wide cast of colourful characters with motive. It leaves questions unanswered. By the way, is Peggy at peace or what?
At peace? Yes. She's never been happier and she's never been better. But she wants people to realize that there is more to life than life. And she also wants to know that whatever things are unfinished business in this life, you get to finish later.
Wow.
You have the ability to oversee and maybe guide how other people's actions go as they continue to live their life.
Well, folks, here's what Grady Harp has to say. He's Amazon Top 100 Hall of Fame reviewer. And he's quite fair income when he talks. He knows what he's talking about. He speaks the truth. Murphy's impressive descriptive skills, imbued with her insights into both psychology and relationship marital facets, brings a new level of achievement to the literary realm. This book, from start to finish, is completely involving, one that challenges the reader once started to read to the end. One of the finest mystery thrillers this reviewer has encountered. Wow. What say you to that critique, young Laurie?
I'm honored. I'm honored that he feels this way. And, when you put a book out there, it's a scary thing. If you're writing for yourself, it's one thing. If you're writing knowing that there's going to be a wide array of audience members who may or may not like what you have to say, you're always open for criticism. But if you speak the truth, and that's what I learned in therapy. I was a therapist for 38 years. People come in and they lie when they first come in because they don't want to tell you every single secret, nor should they. They don't trust you yet.
Not yet. They don't trust you yet, yeah.
Right. But as they get to trust you, they decide, I have nothing to lose. I might as well tell what's my innermost worry, concerns, secrets, dark sides. And that's what we learn about every character in this book. What has happened to them to bring them to this point, and what are they hoping for?
Okay, so for those, like I said, who hadn't gone for Dream Me Home, Dream Me Dead picks up with Peggy's husband, Rob, and he's the dude on trial for her murder. And accompanied by a lawyer who is unsure of his innocence, though, and people who have reason to put the blame on him. But Rob navigates the aftermath of losing his wife, his crumbling family, and the possibility of going to jail over a crime he says he did not commit. So, Dream Me Dead takes us back through the cast of characters from the first book and their intertwining stories.
And many more characters in the second book to come, because we have to have a judge now, and we have to have neighbors who are going to testify against him who have a lot to say about Rob. Rob never, ever, ever denies his innocence. But come on, let's face it. Peggy in the first book is frozen, mangled, and dead in the marital bed that Rob is sleeping in. He gets up, goes and takes a shower, gets ready for his surgery day, and comes back and annoyed that he can see that under the covers is this, body, which he assumes his wife slept in. And he doesn't like that because, after all, he expects more from his wife. So he yanks off the covers to reprimand her and instead finds this body and doesn't know what to do. We would think, as a loving and loyal husband, he would try CPR. He would do anything to get her back.
What was the wound? Was there blood everywhere? Were there stab wounds?
She had two front missing teeth. She had blackened eyes. Her extremities were blackened and blue. And worst of all, she was in a state of being frozen and thawing out. And he didn't know what to make of it.
Weird.
Did he kill her and bring her back frozen? And he thought too soon to call 911? Or did he really discover her and had nothing to do with it? How could that happen in Key West, Florida, in August, in 100-degree weather?
Yeah, right on. That's weird.
So there's no other suspects. So of course everyone says He did it, including the judge,
Of course.
who immediately decides.
Well, when you look at that scene, you would think, well, who else is there? I mean, all he did was go in to have a shave or get ready and have a shower, right?
Yeah, and find his wife dead in bed.
And come back out in that short time, and she's frozen with everything else?
Yeah. But the ending of Dream Me Dead, it could be an ending. It could stop there, but there's a little bit more to the story. And I don't have to write book 3. We can just finish it. But there's so much more that needs to be added. There's a plot twist all along in both books, but the last book is going to have the biggest plot twist of all. So
the biggest mysteries. So what misdeeds is Rob guilty of? What really happened to Peggy Prescott? Can it hold up in a court of law? No matter how absurd the real answer seems. Anyway, you got another. Lauren Lee is a writer and editor, and she has this to say for you. Laurie Elizabeth Murphy is a talented author who has won a multitude of awards for her books, and her history in the psychology field helps bring these characters to life, and, giving them realistic thoughts, motives, and opinions. And that's a nice one, too. So how do you find a balance between reality and the dream world in your book?
Well, that's the question, isn't it? When I was younger, much younger, like, 5, 6, 7, I used to think, how do we know? People would say, oh, I had a dream last night. And I'd think, how do we know that was a dream? What if dreaming life is real life and your life when you're awake is dreaming life?
We just go into another dimension, right?
Blurred line, like blurred lines. And I thought, it's not so paranormal, it's not completely supernatural, but there's an element of, if you're black and white and an analytic thinker, this is a book for you. But if you are into supernatural and paranormal and you can allow yourself to expand your mind into the possibilities, then this is the book for you. Either way, it works.
It's a winner. So, but let me ask you this, though, Laurie. What experience do you have with court cases? The justice system, since it it does play an important role in the whole plot, right?
Yeah. Yes,
have you done a lot of research on that?
I haven't done research, but I have firsthand. I've been in court. After 38 years of being a therapist,
right,
I get called to court to testify for patients against their families, and for whatever reason, I'm called into court, child custody cases.
So you learn from that. You've got a lot of experience from hands-on being.
You learn,
there.
and you sit through court trials for a while, and then you know afterwards what happened, and you read up on them and all that. So it's really the vast experience of knowing the courtroom that really brought it to life. And I know how people think. So knowing how people think, what they say and what they think are two different things. in all of us, we don't reveal ourselves. We just give people just enough, and so in this book, it's more than just enough. Because you get to see exactly what's going on in the judge's mind, in the bailiff's mind, in the defendant's mind, And poor Rob, I mean, he's already gone through 3 lawyers, and this is his 4th, and this 4th lawyer wants to be anywhere else except court. Right. He does not want to be a lawyer.
Well, Laurie Elizabeth Murphy, the book is called Dream Me Dead. All right, Dream Me Dead. It's the sequel to Dream Me Home. What characters were the easiest? In fact, what were the hardest to write?
The easiest characters was Peggy Prescott, because she knows everything, and she was the first character in my mind, and she told me really the story of what she wanted me to write. I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. The hardest one was Rob Prescott, because I like men, but in this particular case, I really gave him a very hard time. So I had to try to think through the minds of a man who may be cynical about women, a man who may be disgusted with women who aren't working or taking money or thinking.
But he was married, right? He was married.
He was married.
How long were they married for?
25 years.
25 years. That's a lot.
25 years.
That's a lot together, right?
Yes, but the crack in the foundation, when you're married, you don't know. It's not like you wake up one day and you go, I don't like my husband anymore, or vice versa. There's a crack that starts a long time before that, but you don't know it. And in this case, in book 1, he yanks her out of Boston where he had gone to internship and residency, and she was raising 2 little children. and she loved Boston. And he decided after a quick stint for a weekend conference in Key West, Florida, why am I shoveling snow when I could be lounging by the ocean? So he comes home to crying babies, dirty diapers, a wife that looks like she hasn't slept in 3 days. And he goes, you know what? And he slaps down a brochure that he got from a realtor and he goes, we're moving. That was the beginning fissure in the marriage. But Peggy didn't realize that.
Right.
But over time, it cracks wider and wider and wider.
So what's the main theme or message of this book then?
I think the main theme is, well, there's a few main themes. The first one is, don't trust anybody. And I know that's a horrible thing to say.
But you're pretty well right these days, I tell you.
Yeah, we don't really know, exactly what people are capable of. That's the first thing. And the second thing is, hopefully, anything is possible. Truly, anything is possible if you really can dream it. And so we have conflicting sentences, aren't we? Don't trust anybody, except anything's possible.
Right.
And both of those themes are webbed into the book.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt about it. You've got a great mind.
Certainly full of imagination.
You must have done. That's good to know, though. It's good to know. I'm sort of the same, but I get howled down for it. What special research did you really do that you had to do for this book that maybe you wouldn't do for a different type of book?
I've been very blessed to have all the research in my own life, because not that these characters are replicas of any husbands or friends that I've had, but I was married to a surgeon. He passed away. I was married to a psychologist and had a practice with him for 38 years. So I got to see, I don't know how many thousands of patients over 38 years. And so all the field work was done for me in my home and in my office. I know how surgeons think. I am a nurse, so I know the medical field.
Right.
I've had the inner workings of patients and what they're capable of, and the horrors that haunt them in the middle of the night. And I just can take all that and expand upon it. And you know what? It turns out to be, everybody is a mystery. It's kind of like when you're in the store and you overhear somebody, let's say, in line to wait at a cashier, and you hear them telling a story to a friend of theirs, but you don't know what they're saying. And you want to tap them on the shoulder and go, what are you talking about? Who is this person? Why did they do that? What happened then? But you can't.
No.
In my mind, I invent the rest of the story. Every time.
Fair enough. Well, you mentioned that parts of the story are inspired by your career as a psychotherapist. Elaborate a little more on that.
Well, it wasn't really my field of choice. Let me say that. I love medicine and I love working in hospitals with patients. But when I married my husband and I was already on my way to getting my degrees in psychology, he convinced me that I was going to be perfect for this job. And truly, I wasn't perfect for this job. I think I did a good job, but you have to be completely unemotional when patients are telling you their stories. I'm in there crying with them all the time, or I'm in there thinking, yeah, you deserve what you got, but I still have to be neutral. And I have to, I have to pull for the patient no matter what. And if I really didn't like a patient, I would refer them out, because I don't want to sit there and pretend I like you if I don't. But you're not supposed to invest your emotion into people. So for that reason, it wasn't probably the best job for me. But book-wise, I'm glad I did it, because I really got them to trust me, because I really did care. And I got to know so much more about what people think and how people act.
Yeah, you'd have a pretty good insight to that, where a lot wouldn't. There's no doubt about that. So now we've got, from Dream Me Home, Dream Me Dead. I got to ask you, we did touch on a sequel, number 3, and maybe then later on you can market the whole 3 together as a special collection. What's next? What is next for the writing projects? You're just going to focus on that?
No, well, after the trilogy. So I'm writing book 3 right now. After the trilogy, I've had 2 other books in my mind, probably for 20 years, but I was busy with my career and so forth and so on.
Yeah.
But and I tried to write the book that I had in mind before I did this book 3, and I couldn't write it because there was unfinished business. So I put it aside, going to write book 3, and then I get to write the two books that I started out thinking about 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a lot going on in my head.
When as a writer, right, for any other writers, potential writers or authors listening right now, do you actually sit down at the typewriter or computer, I should say, these days, and just write because it's in your head and it's coming and the words are flowing? Or do you record firstly what you see and imagine and then go back and type later?
No. What I do is I start with a character, and I have no idea where I'm going with this. I may know the ending. I know the ending of every book I want to write, but I have no idea how to get there. So I have a character, and I'm trying to think, okay, what would they do? Where are they going? And then I write what I think is terrific writing, maybe a page, maybe two. I'm not disciplined. I don't do it every day. And then I go to bed, and I wake up in the middle of the night, and I go, that is just pure garbage. And I go to my typewriter in the morning, and I go, nope. And so I don't know how many edits I do on every single page, but you know when it's finished. You know when it's okay. It's sort of like an artist. You can never really be finished, but you finally know when you stand back and look at your picture that you painted, it's good enough. This is good enough.
As long as you're not over self-critical, you know what I mean? This isn't right, that isn't right. Listen, fans, if you do like crime and mystery, right, which I do, Dream Me Dead is the perfect sequel to a psychological thriller. Now, Laurie Elizabeth Murphy has decades of experience as a psychotherapist, which gives me an idea. We should do a show, that's not done, but then I'll talk to you about that. It's reflected through the way that she portrays the deep inner workings of the mind. So she's won a variety of awards for Dream Me Home, right, including those from the Pencraft Awards and the Outstanding Creator Awards. Dream Me Dead is the much-anticipated continuation of her talent and is certain to be a sensation for years to come. So, where can I rush out and buy this book?
You can get the book on Amazon. You can get it on Barnes & Noble. I think Barnes & Noble only has the ebook. Amazon has the paperback, the ebook, and the audiobook is coming out probably within the month. You can get it from BookBaby directly. And, there's various other booksellers, Walmart, etc., Target. But Amazon, I think, is Amazon, if you happen to be a Prime member, it's the cheapest and it's overnight.
And what about your own site, direct order? Can that be done?
No.
Okay.
No.
So you're not doing that. But we can read about you, though, with lauriemurphy.net, yes?
Yes,
All
correct.
Right. So https, blah, blah, www.lauriemurphy, that's LAURIE, lauriemurphy.net. And don't forget, folks, she'll be up, her nice headshot, her bio, and a lot about the book on my site, markbishopmedia.com. It'll be there. Just go to shows, scroll down and see Nothing Like a Good Book. And on the new site coming up soon too, Nothing Like a Good Book. So that'll be launching soon and featuring all sorts of people. Wow. Is there anything you'd like to just touch on before we go, Laurie?
No, but I do think I'd like to say that in today's stressful world, everybody should see somebody. Everybody should go to a therapist, because people back in the day thought, if I go to somebody, I'm weak or I have mental problems. That's not the case. You go because it's too stressful in life and you need somebody to work your thoughts out with. Somebody who's going to keep your confidence. You tell them anything you want to say. They are bound by law to keep your confidence.
Yeah. You see, this is where guys and girls are different. Women do talk. Girlfriends talk a lot more. They share. They get it out. But guys don't. They hold it all in. And if you don't have anybody to chat with as a guy, it can be, quite uncomfortable. And I think today it's very different. You used to be a stigma, see a psychotherapist or go and see a therapist. I think today it's an integral part of living, quite frankly, I
don't know how anybody gets along without one, honestly.
All right. Well, I wish you all the very, very best with this book, Dream Me Dead.
Thank you, Mark.
And just again, one more time, just mention all the places, please, that people can go and look for it.
Okay. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, BookBaby, and any other booksellers that are in your area.
BookBaby.
BookBaby.
Okay.
One word. Yeah, BookBaby.
.com. BookBaby.com?
Yes.
Interesting. Okay. And, of course, Barnes & Noble. They're infamous, aren't they? Been around a long. Are you doing any of those terrific book signings?
I have, I live in Florida, so it's not season now, and I try to do local book signings, but we usually wait until late fall when people come back here. It's a booming metropolis in wintertime, so I do my book signings. Of course,
the heat. So the summer's rotten there, is it?
Summer's hot, very hot.
Well, it's hot here. It's hot here in Arizona too, you know.
Oh, yes. I heard. I have a friend that lives there, and she said it's quite hot.
Quite hot, but it is a dry heat. That's the difference.
Yeah.
I believe it's very humid in Florida.
Oh, so humid. Every year I just wonder what I'm doing here, but here I am, almost 50 years.
Well, you're good in the bad, you see.
But it's beautiful here. It is beautiful. And the beauty is, the second book is set in Key West, Florida. Right. So we get a lot of Key West in there. And
lovely.
So people can dream.
That's one of my goals, is to get to see Key West and to write down the very last one. I don't know if I'd drive that highway over the water. Maybe I'd take the ferry down, but the very last one.
Well, it's the 7 Mile Bridge connects from Miami all the way to the Keys, and that's a beautiful drive.
Yeah. A bridge, did you say? How big is it?
Yes. 7 miles long.
Right. 7 miles long. Stone the crows. That's a bridge and a half, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's just hovers over the water. It's not really high.
Oh,
so
goody
you get
then.
To see.
Okay.
Oh, it's beautiful. Beautiful.
Right. Yeah, I don't like heights. After the plane crash, believe me. But never mind. All right, my dear. Thank you so much for your time. Excellent. By the way, you narrating the book? The audio
I'm
book?
not doing it. I have a wonderful narrator named Laura Smith, and she narrated the first book, and she has just finished narrating this book. So it should be.
Okay, I was going to say, you have a lovely voice. You could do it yourself.
Oh, thank you very much.
All right, Laurie, thank you so much. Laurie Elizabeth Murphy, everybody, with Dream Me Dead. And you heard her here on Nothing Like a Good Book.
I don't think they'll be sorry.
Thank you, Laurie.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay, goodbye now.
Bye-bye.